I'm Kimberly Edwards from cookingwithkimberly.com, and tonight I'm going to show you one of my favorite recipes to eat. It's such a down-home dinner. Today I was harvesting like crazy in our garden and I saw these beautiful peppers and I'm going to stuff them. And I'm going to stuff them with some ground beef and some rice. I already have my rice made. Make sure you check that out on my site or on YouTube or iFood.tv under my channel and find out how to make rice. I'm not going to show you here today. Now I'm going to brown this ground beef. This is extra lean and it's 1 pound. I have some olive oil in a frying pan on my stovetop and it's just going to get brown just like any other day. Now with my rice here, I used a very flavorful vegetable stock to make my rice. I just have a Thai rice, it's just plain old regular, and I'm going to mix it together with the ground beef. The ground beef is going to be cooked before it goes in the peppers, and then when you put it in the oven, the only thing you're waiting for are these peppers to tenderize up. Now since we had such a lovely crop this year, I'm going to keep the seeds from my peppers so that I can replant next year. I have a little bit of dill here and I'm just going to chop it up fresh out of my garden. And that's going to season the meat as well. Now you want just nice uniform chunks here of the ground beef. So make sure you just break it up. Make sure you break up any big chunks you see. And you want to make sure that it's all nice and brown. Now, depending on the leanness of the cut of beef that they use to grind, depends on how much fat and oil is going to render out of here right now. So you're going to have to keep an eye on that. Don't add anything else until you assess your fat situation. We're going to freshly crack some black pepper. These are Kampot peppercorns from Cambodia. Love them. You can check them out online at kampot-pepper.asia. And this is what it looks like. So you'll get them like that. Just pulverize these up. I'm going to put them in the meat, just so it can release some of the flavors of that pepper a little better. I'm also going to add just a little bit of salt, freshly ground salt. You may add garlic at this point, you may add onions as well and soften them up with the... If you want to add fresh parsley, go ahead and do that. Mine didn't come up this year, unfortunately, so I'm going to use some ground. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to prepare my peppers. I'm going to cut by the stem as closely as I can to that little cap, as close as I can, without breaking the top of that pepper. Now, I have to stuff it, so bear that in mind. You want to keep all the seeds intact. You don't want to mess with them, so it's easy to get them out as well. So you want to use the premise of like cutting a pumpkin. Gently remove it with the core. I got half of them out anyway. And I'm just going to dry these seeds. Be sure to check out the Cooking with Kimberly store for all kinds of interesting things, even some seeds just like I have in my own garden. And repeat on all the peppers. Now try to remove those ribs as best you can in there too, because it's just going to open up some extra space for tasty things. Usually you can just grab them with your finger and pull the majority of it out. Now it's likely I won't use a whole pound of ground beef and this rice stuffing mixture, but what I can do is I can save that mixture now it's already cooked and ready to go, and I can stuff whatever the heck I want the rest of the week. Or you can just guesstimate or eyeball what you need and then use the rest of those ingredients for another day or something completely different. I like to be prepared ahead of time with some leftovers. I never like to get stuck without any leftovers because sometimes you need them for really, really quick dinners, really quick lunches, or super fast breakfasts. Now I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees as well. And I have a nice casserole dish that I'm going to stand these up in. Almost perfect timing. I know my ground beef is almost done. We're going to finish it up. Okay, now I don't have a lot of excess fat in mine because it was extra lean. And at this point you would drain off any excess fat you had if you had it before you add some wine. I'm going to add a little bit of red wine to my recipe just to give it a little more beefy, hearty flavor. Maybe 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to let that reduce. I just want the flavor. Now this is a gorgeous Meritage. It's a 2007 Meritage from Vignoble Rancourt Winery. You can check them out in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario. That is rancourtwinery.com online. Okay? This is very nice wine, nice red. They have stir that through just to get a little bit of that flavor. Otherwise, you can add some red wine to the bottom of the pan when you're baking. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to take it off the heat and let it cool because I need to be able to handle it with my hands. Off the the heat. Now, larger peppers are nicer to use. Typically, if you use a great big green pepper, red peppers, you can use a nice big container like this. But today I gotta use a loaf pan just to hold them all up, and they're nice and tall and skinny. When you use the tinier peppers, they're much more tender, they have thinner skin, and they're nice. However, those nice, great big peppers, they have such meaty flesh, and they are so tasty, and they're much more filling as well. So I'm waiting for that meat to just cool, right? I had over here that I had to move. Waiting for my meat to cool, and I'm just going to get some rice into this bowl so that I can start getting things organized to mix. Also, I'm going to slice nice slices of this tomato so I can cover the top of each one. I might even use a smaller one because these are smaller peppers. So you want something about the diameter of the size of the pepper. Now the ends of the tomatoes with the extra skin, what I'm doing is I'm chopping those up finely, and I'm also going to throw that in the stuffing as well. It's going to give a nice flavor as well as a nice little punch of color. It smells so good. I'm doing a very basic recipe tonight. You can play around with the ingredients. You can even find one on my site that has chev topped on top of it. Fabulous. These are very versatile, but tonight I'm making them very basic just so I can show you guys. And this is typically what I crave, is the basic recipe, because that's what my mom used to make. So I need 6 medallions to cover my 6 peppers. So my tomatoes are ready. I think I'm ready to start making this stuffing. Now don't forget, my rice is already seasoned, and if yours isn't, make sure you put some salt, some pepper, any other seasonings you really like. Maybe even some cayenne pepper for something nice and spicy, which is probably what I'm going to do in a second. So I'm just going to break this up. Guesstimate what you're going to need. About half of the stuffing is going to be rice. That looks like enough to me, and now I'm going to add it. This is not an exact science, and that's a good thing. Just eyeball. Now mix it up thoroughly so you can get a good idea if it's a nice ratio. Might have to use my hands. All right, that looks good. I'm just gonna add a little bit of cayenne pepper, like I said, a couple dashes. You can stir it up. Now, if you wanted to add smoked paprika to this, you can. I might even add just a little tiny bit of it. A little tiny. Maybe a quarter of a teaspoon. Now this is seasoned with salt already. I have quite a bit of pepper in here, I believe. I might just add just another dash of pepper just to make sure, because I really like pepper. And we're good to go in this instance. Oh, it smells unbelievable. Wow. Next is the stuffing. Let's stuff these bad boys. Now, this helps to keep them all steady and standing up nicely. They're otherwise going to fall. They're going to get nice and tender, and then they're going to want to fall, right? So you want to organize them so that they seem to stay in a more sturdy spot. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to stuff them. Use your spoon if you like. Use your hands if you like. It really just depends on how frustrated you are and how easy it is that day. Maybe how big your pepper is as well that day. Stuff it as tightly as you can without breaking that pepper. Top them up to the top, just like that. Now, I'm just going to repeat that for all. You could even do a Mexican version of these with Mexican ground beef flavors and salsa instead of the tomatoes inside the stuffing, as well as the rice. You could even add some black beans and some corn. So many different options. You could also do goulash stuffed ones with beef and rice and tomato. Gosh, guys, seriously, and this beautiful paprika as well. Now I did have to mix up some extra stuffing, so I just, maybe I used 3/4 of the beef that I had. These are really fun to make actually, because it's kind of fun getting your hands there. Stuff them as good as you can. Right to the top, right to the brim. I only had a little tiny bit of that left. That's good. I need a placeholder. Unfortunately, I didn't have any more peppers, so today I'm going to use a potato. What's terrible about a baked potato? Nothing. It's going to be all tasty with the juices of this stuff. Also, it's nice and hard. It won't burn, it won't, it'll cook, and you can even eat that later too, or for another meal some of the time. But right now it's going to be a placeholder for me, and it's going to hold my peppers in place so they don't just collapse and fall and everything fall out. Maybe 2 potatoes. That way you have a nice snug fit and nothing's falling. Okay, next, right? I'm gonna break little sprigs of fresh dill and I'm just gonna lay it on the top of each one. Then I'm going to trim each one and cover it with that piece of tomato medallion that I got ready for each one. Try and match them up by size accordingly. Now these are actually going to cook uncovered for a while and then I'm going to cover them up. So that means I'm going to have to make a nice aluminum foil tent. So stay tuned. I'm going to put this on top of a cookie sheet in case things fall out and we have an issue, right? Now, I made some lovely chicken stock earlier today. I have it in my crock pot, so I'm just going to grab a ladleful and pour it. That's probably about 3/4 of a cup. And I'm just going to pour it in here. We don't want things getting dry, and we want to help out those peppers to cook. Now, if things look still dry when you take them out, you're going to let that go for about an hour, but I'm going to check them in about 30 minutes, and I'm likely going to cover them up. So I want to make sure that there's enough liquid in there as well still at that point. So there's my chicken broth. Yummy! Onto the cookie sheets. And I'm just going to freshly crack some pepper on the top. Gorgeous. Again, we're preheated to 350 degrees into the oven. Okay, I got some other things going on here. I'm preparing Swiss chard to blanch and freeze. But I want to show you these guys. This is halfway through. This has been 30 minutes. I have about half of that liquid left in the bottom. I'm pretty satisfied with that. The tops of the tomatoes are starting to brown a little bit, and that's exactly what I want. Now, I'm ready to cover that with some aluminum foil and let that roll for another 30 minutes in there like that. So I'm gonna totally coat it over. I'm also gonna prick these potatoes just to make sure that they cook nicely too. They also look like they're spray the inside of your aluminum foil, otherwise it's gonna stick to those beautiful ingredients and you're just gonna pull your tomatoes off. You're gonna be mad at me. So go ahead and spray it, take the time to do that. Put it over like a tent. All right, back in the oven for 30 more minutes, set the timer, and we're gonna test the doneness of the pepper at that time. Okay, my timer just went off. Now get yourself ready some sour cream or some plain yogurt to top it if you desire. You can put hot sauce on it, you can do a number of things, but that's how I like it, and that's how I'm gonna show you. So here we go. These should definitely be done by now. Gorgeous. Don't they look nice? Look at these guys. Beautiful. And they came right out of your garden. Look at that. Awesome. I love stuffed peppers. Golly, I've always liked them since I was little. Alright, so I'm going to serve one up for myself, and you guys can see me. I guess I'll take the easiest one to get out, which would likely be this one. Now, I wish it would stand up like other peppers, but it doesn't matter. It's all going to taste delicious, right? So let's move this out of the way, maybe. Alright. Lovely. Now, I'm going to slice mine in half, okay? That's how I do it. Oh, the pepper is so tender and moist. Look at this with the tomato. Look at that, guys. It's gorgeous, right? Okay. Tiny bit of sour cream, or I use plain Balkan style yogurt. It's the full fat yogurt and it tastes a lot like sour cream, but you know, it's healthier for you, better for you. Now this is like a flaming inferno. This is very, very hot, so I don't want to burn myself, but I'll try and take a bite for you guys. Now that chicken stock, let's see. Oh yeah, we're good. We have juices coming out from these guys as well, and everything stayed nice and moist, and that's probably why everything is so lovely and cooked. Also, I'm going to check these potatoes for you, just to show you what's going on. So check it out. Now you have another side dish, and these are done all the way through. Gorgeous, right? I don't necessarily want one right now, but anyway, they're done and they're good to go. So here we go. Otherwise, you can use them for breakfast for home fries in the morning. Super hot. I love that flavor. Now, I love dill in there. That really reminds me of my mom. I guess my heritage as well. The dill is fabulous. That little bit of smoked paprika really goes a long way. It has a super nice flavor in there. Those peppers held together gorgeously. I'm very happy. I'm very pleased with myself. This is going to be a great dinner tonight, and I hope you try it too. Anyhow, that's how you make stuffed peppers. These are stuffed peppers from my garden. and with a rice and a ground beef stuffing. And they're easy, right? It's a great meal for the week. You can also make these, freeze them, and heat them up for another day. So I know you're not mad at that. You can make them ahead of time, and you can already have dinner ready. Anyhow, I hope you follow me on Twitter at Cooking with Kim E with capital E. I hope you like the fan pages, facebook.com/cookingwithkimberly. My shows are on ifood.tv/cookingwithkimberly and youtube.com/cookingwithkimberly. And my site is cookingwithkimberly.com. Come interact with me. Let me know what's going down in your culinary world. Be a champion in your kitchen and eat deliciously. Bye.